Hello, this is This Week in Smackdown for WWE Smackdown December 16th, 2011. And as most people know, this is the go-home show. This is the show right before the TLC pay-per-view. And honestly, I felt like this was a very good, I would say a very good Smackdown to certain extents in building storylines. I'll go through a few little tidbits that I didn't like first, then I'll go on to what I did like, because there was a fair amount that I actually did like on this show. First of all, I really didn't get the whole Alicia Fox thing. They're obviously trying to build her into being the next contender for the Divas Championship. Or they might just be trying to try something there, but the fact that they only allowed a couple-minute match with her and Natalya on the show, now granted that's what they do with all Divas matches, it's only like 2 to 3 minutes, they need to allot more time. And then of course at the end of the show, or at the end of the match, you had the post-match beatdown where Alicia Fox reversed the roles and she ended up missing her move pretty much entirely. And it just didn't come off. It just didn't come off all that well in my mind. Now, granted, they never really tried to build the Divas to begin with, so it is what it is for that. The next bit is maybe more or less just the fact that they need something for Sheamus to do, and obviously they don't have anything. They had his bit from Monday Night Raw where he bro kicked Jinder Mahal in the face. They actually had the match this week, and it was an okay match, but once again, Sheamus is one of the more popular stars, and he's got no feud right now, so obviously they need to figure out something for Sheamus to do here in the upcoming months, because he's got to have some kind of feud going here very soon. Now let's go through what I actually did like about the show. I like the opening I definitely like the opening segment of the show. The interview with Booker T and the interruption with Cody Rhodes, it worked out really well, built into their storyline going into the pay-per-view, which I like their storyline that they're doing right now. And then, of course, adding the little tidbit in there to make sure Booker T doesn't interfere in the match with Daniel Bryan next was a nice little touch as well. The match itself with Cody Rhodes and Daniel Bryan, once again, a spectacular type match. I liked the match. It was a lot of fun to watch. Then again, I like watching Daniel Bryan matches, and Cody Rhodes is extremely well in the ring as well. So that definitely worked out a lot better than I expected, and it came off really well on TV in my mind. Sorry, I had a nose itch right there. The next bit I ended up liking, and more or less I guess this is because they've been building this storyline, and it's nice to see some fresh faces into a storyline. They had the match with Ted DiBiase and Heath Slater, which it wasn't a bad match. It was kind of what it was. It was a way to give DiBiase a win again, and it came off decent on TV. The whole aspect of Jinder Mahal continuing their storyline for after the match was a nice little touch as well. It came off pretty well. It is nice to see it, and from time to time it is nice to see fresh faces get on TV and get into a storyline of some kind, regardless of how low they consider that storyline to be on the card as it is right now. But so that was another area that I ended up liking. I actually ended out also the match with Jack Swagger and Big Show. It came off really well in my mind. Then again, these two have worked together before, and they have pulled off some decent matches, and they pulled off a really decent match again this week. You had a nice little touch where before the match with Mark Henry trying to convince Jack Swagger to injure Big Show, and that came off really well. And Mark Henry's been doing really well in his storyline with Big Show as it is. But the whole match and you saw in the match, Big Show had the upper hand for a long period of time, and then you saw Jack Swagger work over the leg and try to injure the leg, getting a nice little bit into the ankle lock before getting defeated, of course, by Big Show. I like the nice little added touch with Mark Henry out there and going ahead and swinging the steel, going ahead and knocking out Jack Swagger and the cameraman with the steel chair. It kind of shows how devastating that he can be with the chair and what to expect coming into the pay-per-view matches as well. The other area that I would like to actually touch on was the main event for the night, which was Zack Ryder and Randy Orton and Wade Barrett and Dolph Ziggler. Of course, you had their backstage segments a little bit beforehand. You had, of course, sorry, I'm stuttering my words a little bit. Of course, you had Zack Ryder and Randy Orton getting their little thing on there. Zack Ryder trying to see if they're on the same page. Well, no one's really on the same page with Randy Orton, at least not on his character. So it made you feel like maybe they want to work together, but you know in the end they'll always work together. So the match itself was an extremely good tag team match, at least in my own personal opinion. The action in the ring flowed really well. And having Randy Orton get the win over Dolph Ziggler was a little bit better in my mind because it allowed for his little stare down moment with Wade Barrett. And of course, in my opinion, at this point, Zack Ryder doesn't need a little extra build going into the pay-per-view. His team won, but he didn't get the pinfall. He didn't really need an extra build going into the pay-per-view. His storyline solidified with Dolph Ziggler for the U.S. title, and having the little stare down at the end of the match with Randy Orton and Wade Barrett just gave that one a little bit more of an emphasis and a little bit more of a push that they hadn't been putting into the match. They've been making it look like Wade Barrett's been in Randy Orton's head. Now they're going to make it look like Randy Orton's in Wade Barrett's head. I ended up liking that, and it was I would say a fairly good SmackDown. It was a fairly good way to go into the pay-per-view. It was a lot better than what they did on Monday Night Raw, where it was pretty much emphasized on the Slammy Awards versus emphasizing going into the pay-per-view itself, which for whatever reason they do it that way. Not sure why. This one, and of course, this week's SmackDown emphasized mostly going into the pay-per-view and potential other storylines going in there, because I have a feeling that they're going to further this whole Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes deal. Maybe they'll do something Intercontinental title versus Money in the Bank or something like that. And that should end up being a really good feud, and hopefully that's a feud that we'll get to see in the future. Obviously, they're continuing Ted DiBiase and Jinder Mahal. Hopefully they'll get something for Sheamus here soon. But all in all, this week's SmackDown was pretty good. It definitely filled its purpose going into the pay-per-view, and hopefully we'll see a good pay-per-view on Sunday, and we'll see good storylines here coming in the future as well. This was This Week in SmackDown, and I thank you guys for watching.